New Yorkers for Students' Educational Rights versus New York is about ensuring that all students, no matter their background, have the opportunities and resources necessary to help them receive a sound basic education. White and Case worked with Education Law Center to represent parents of students in the Schenectady and New York City school districts seeking to compel the state to provide additional funding to school districts to meet their constitutional obligation of providing adequate education for their students. Because of the lack of adequate funding, students have faced severe educational consequences. For example, in Schenectady, on average, 83% of students could not read at grade level, and 87% of students could not do math at grade level. As a result of the Nicer case, the state agreed to fund $4.2 billion in education over the next 3 years for all students in New York State. While the additional funding will benefit all students, a majority of that funding will be devoted to students who come from high needs backgrounds, including special education and economically disadvantaged students. Our team consisted of 30 lawyers from all different offices across the U.S. who worked for multiple years on this litigation, taking over 40 depositions, managing 8 expert witnesses, and numerous hearings, injunctions, and briefings. One of the biggest challenges in our case was the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, not only were some students receiving an inadequate education, many students weren't able to access an education at all if they didn't have the remote resources at home. This was particularly a big problem for students with special needs and economically disadvantaged students who didn't have the resources necessary to access a remote education during the pandemic. Even though our plaintiffs were only from the Schenectady and New York City school districts, the increased funding promised by the state will cover all districts and provide all students across New York State with additional resources necessary for sound basic education. The fight for educational equality continues. White and Case and Education Law Center have teamed up again to initiate a similar lawsuit on behalf of students in New Hampshire. Students all across the country are facing the same educational obstacles that our students in New York did. The Nicer case will open doors for those students to be able to seek the funding necessary that they need to receive a sound basic education.